Indonesian folklore features a wide variety of tales about animals, ghosts, and spirits, and the so-called Pontianak or Kuntilanak is perhaps the most notorious of all. In Southeast Asian culture, swamps are considered eerie places where haunted nature spirits dwell and spook the living. Legend has it that the area in western Kalimantan at the crossing points of the Kapuas and Andak rivers was haunted by Pontianaks. The Pontianak is a vengeful spirit that takes the form of a beautiful woman and preys on men, children, and vulnerable souls. Believed to be the spirit of a woman who died in childbirth or a violent death, they are one of the most powerful and feared spirits of Indonesian and Malaysian folklore. As bloodthirsty vampires, they eviscerate their victims with their long nails and dine on the internal organs. Despite the warning shared with him by the local Dayak people, Sharif Abdurrahman Al-Qadri 1771 to 1808 decided to set up a trading post at this crossing point in the swamp. The Pontianak soon made their presence felt on Abdurrahman and his builders, and the story goes that they fired cannon in the swamps to destroy the area considered to be the Pontianak's nest. A mosque and trading post were established and the developing city was named Pontianak. The trading post became very successful and Abdurrahman was made a sultan, the first sultan of Pontianak. A star of many horror movies both in Indonesian and Malaysian culture, these vengeful spirits are still alive and well in the nightmares of people. It is said that the scent of drying laundry will attract a Pontianak, hence many Malaysians will not leave laundry out overnight. Powerful spirits that can perform black magic, their presence is often heralded by a fragrance similar to the plumeria flower or the scent of rotting flesh. But it is also said she can be tamed to become the most perfect and beautiful wife. Simply drive a nail into the hole at the nape of her neck to enjoy a blissful marriage to a beautiful woman. Well, is a love life ever simple? Might be wise, however, to have her sign a prenuptial to ensure you hang on to your internal organs in the event of a breakup.
One of the Saigon's most famous ghost stories, the daughter of Hoi Bewa, is a legend of the ghost of a young girl who roams the corridors of what is now the Ho Chi Minh City Museum of Art at Podok Cheng Street in District 1. Back in 1934, when the Trio building was first built, it was a home to the family and business of Ho Bewa, an extremely wealthy real estate magnate who was reputed to own about 20,000 properties in the city. The main building used to be the family mansions and it is apparently haunted by the ghosts of Hoy's daughters. The story goes that she contracted leprosy during a citywide epidemic and was confined to a bedroom on the upper floor. During that time, leprosy was thought of as more of a curse than what it really is. Addis's ever superstitious and conscious of their public image, the family decided to cover up the fact that their daughter was ill with leprosy and announced that she died from a mysterious illness, which they then followed with a public funeral to put the matter to rest. However, the truth is what daughter was locked away in her room, with her mail slide through a slot at the bottom of the door. They kept her locked in her room for years until the loneliness and misery of being locked away eventually drove her insane and she took her own life. Multiple versions of this story have claimed that she hung herself, while an alternate story claims that she burned herself alive. Since then, many people have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a woman roaming the halls of the building and heard the plaintive sound of someone crying in the dead of night.
Like creature, the Fisacha, sorry if I pronounce it right or not, in Hindu theology are believed to feed on the flesh of both the living and the dead, and horrifically they are particularly fond of dining on pregnant women. Described as having a human-like form with protruding red eyes and bulging veins all over their bodies, they are a particularly unpleasant-looking demon. Pisachas hounds cremation and burial grounds, abandoned homes, and places where violent deaths have occurred. In more modern times, they are said to haunt places such as discos and nightclubs where they feed on negative energies in what are seen as vice-ridden venues and where they look to possess vulnerable individuals. An ancient spirit that has been around since creation, the Pisacha have their own language known as Paisase. I don't know if it's correct pronunciation, but they are believed to possess the paranormal ability to become invisible and to shape-shift and assume any forms at will. These ancient and tricky spirits can possess minds, driving their possessed human to negative thoughts and behaviors, and feeding on the conflict and misery that arises as a result. The possession can drive the possessed to insanity. Special mantras are needed to exorcise these harmful spirits. To keep the associated at bay, they are given their share of offerings during certain religious functions and festivals.
Harbinger of death, rather like the Black Dove of England or the Banshee of Ireland, Mapeiwa is a spirit known in Myanmar as a Nat. These spirits are an Asian mix of Hindu and local animist beliefs that are also became associated with Buddhism. There are basically two order of Nats, the 37 great Nats that are spirits of people that died a violent death, and then all the other nuts which are probably from the older animist beliefs that are natural elemental spirits, the guardian spirits of place and nature. Mapewa is just such a spirit, just such a nut. Known as the guardian spirits of cemeteries and graveyards in Myanmar, Mapewa has made her home in these lonely places of death. As well all nuts, she takes a human form and appears as a woman in long flowing black hair. In the dark of night, at midnight. Well, like 4 p.m. is time for tea, midnight is time for pee. And no, I am not referring to the trials of a troubled prostate. P is a Thai name for supernatural spirits and conventionally rhymes with tea. She hoists a coffin onto her shoulder and leaves the cemetery and heads into the nearby village or town. In her role as the harbinger of death, her long hair flowing in the spectral breasts that accompanies her shuffling gait, she seeks out the home of the soon to die. On arriving at the home of the doomed, she places the coffin on their doorstep. And before long, someone in that household, and sadly, usually a child, will sicken and die. In late 1990s, Mapeiwa appeared in the dreams of a monk in Kayan state, and through this vision, Mapeiwa announced her intention to eat the flesh of babies. After much deliberation, the abbot suggested that people should encourage her to dine on dogs instead. Subsequently, security-conscious parents sought to protect their newborn babies by posting signs in front of their homes saying, "Our baby's flesh is bitter, but the dog flesh is sweet. Man's best friend saves the day yet again, this time dough as a dish of the day for the yellow ribbon lady."
Thais believes that wicked people will be reborn and a treats overnight creature called a Prita, the archetypal hungry ghost. These beings are the tortured spirits of once living people who are made to suffer greatly with an insatiable hunger, usually for something disgusting. And for some more unfortunate, Prita it can be a desire to eat your own flesh. There are many different types of Prita, which each one of the result of a specific type of misconduct, such as being too stingy or taking advantage of people during the time that they were alive as humans. The idea of suffering for eternity wandering the earth in your birthday suit in the form of tortured night creature is a scary belief not only for the Thais. This type of ghost also appears in many Asias of ancient culture under different names. In appearance, Rapita looks like a disproportionately stretched out version of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. They have long necks, lean bodies with a distended pot belly, dark skin, and hands as big as palm leaves. They are as small as a palm tree and have a mouth as small as the eye of a sewing needle, which explain why they are perpetually hungry. Those high-pitched whines you hear on a dark balmy night in Thailand are believed to be the sound of fritas roaming through the night. Pretas rarely directly affects human, usually invisible to the living. They seek an end to their suffering by attending merit-making ceremonies at temples, where kind bodies make offerings to them. When a Preta has accumulated enough merit, they are freed from their Preta status. Sightings of Preta are regularly reported in the Thai media, and rather like a medieval moral tale, they are used as an example to children on what bad behavior will lead to. Many temples have built Preta statue as a reminder to people to be good.